Okay, we've got some breaking news here, and I haven't heard any media outlet or anybody mentioning this at all. Um, the the husband of the family that took in this young man that shot up this school. He's a retired intelligence analyst. Now, in a minute, you're going to find out why this is not adding up. He's a retired intelligence analyst. What is an intelligence analyst's job? It's primarily responsible for the analyst's processing and distribution of strategic and tactical intelligence. They are integral to providing Army personnel with information about enemies, forces, and potential battle areas. Are you listening? An intelligence analyst is an employee of the government who pieces together information from a variety of sources in order to assess threats and prevent attacks from interior and exterior enemies. Intelligence analysts perform a variety of tasks in order to ensure the safety of their country. Now, you're telling me this retired intelligence analyst didn't know there was a monster living under his roof? When he was asked about the keys to the gun cabinet or to the cage for the gun, he says, I didn't know there was more than one key. How many know when you go buy something, you always get a second key, right? You don't just get one key. Something's not adding up here, people. Look what this guy did for work to prevent attacks, interior and exterior enemies, to protect his country. This is not just a run of the mill here, folks. This is somebody that is actually supposed to know who's living under his roof. Are you telling me that this guy didn't know? Didn't do any background check? Are you really telling me this? In this day and age, that this guy's just going to let this kid come into his house and doesn't even know who he is? Now, this guy pieces together information from a variety of sources in order to assess threats and prevent attacks from interior and exterior enemies. And he didn't even bother to look on the social media that's public information of this kid that was already making threats, that was dressing up as the militia. Come on. It doesn't add up, people. How many know that there is a conspiracy in this country right now to get guns out of the people's hands, to de-weaponize the people? Right? Absolutely. They want to push this New World Order. They want to get this New World Order in place, and they don't care if it takes some deaths to get there. They don't care how many people have to die to get there. After all, they're also the ones that are pushing for the agenda of depopulation. So do you think they really care that the Goyim die? Isn't it interesting that you never hear of one non-Goyim, as they call them, not one, is ever killed in the school shootings? You won't find any children of those that call themselves Jews. You won't find one of their children being killed. You won't find one of them in the building at 9/11. Is that strange? But it's always the Goyim. It's always the Gentiles. Interesting. I don't think that's by chance. Does it strike you? Doesn't it strike you to think that this guy was an intelligence analyst? That this was his very detail. This was his job. This was his responsibility. Not just to protect a school, but to protect the whole country. Just because he retired, does that mean that he stops being who he is? Does he stop being an intelligence analyst? Anybody that's ever been in the work of an analyst is always an analyst. Even in their personality, they analyze everything. And he never saw a red flag. How come the media that's owned by the Synagogue of Satan is not bringing this out? How come nobody's talking about the fact that he was an intelligence analyst? How come nobody's talking about his background and the kind of work that he did? This is CIA, people. Do I need to remind you who the CIA are? They're criminals. This is the inside corruption of our country. The CIA is not in any way protecting this country. The CIA is, in fact, the organization that's destroying this country. The Pentagon, full of pedophiles that never are prosecuted. People are looking for Pizzagate don't have to look any further than the Pentagon. The ones that analyze all the pornography and all that goes through the internet, they're the very ones that are the worst offenders. Maybe this doesn't bother you folks, but when I read the background of this guy that took this kid into his house, he should have known who was under his roof. It doesn't add up. It does not add up.